Shall we start now? I think we're going live.
Yes, we are live now. So good afternoon, everyone. Happy Diwali to you and your family. So we are back with the Destination Northeast interactive session today again on NM Live. We are streaming the session on Facebook, and later on we would be uploading some blurbs on the Insta Live as well. So today we have Dr. Sangeeta Dutta. She would be talking about the textile tradition of Assam and the representation of Ramayana on it. She would be doing a selective case study regarding the collection of the textiles. So to begin with, I would talk a little bit about the program, why we are holding this kind of interactive session. So as a part of celebration of the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, to commemorate the 75 years of progressive India and the glory of its people's culture and achievement, the National Museum, Delhi, is celebrating the rich cultural heritage of Northeast India under the Ministry of Donor and NEC's initiative titled Destination Northeast India. The celebration commences on 1st of November 2021 and it will continue till 7th of November 2021. The National Museum Delhi houses an outstanding collection of artifacts representing the cultural heritage and diasporas of Northeast India, and contributing to the celebration of Northeast India. NM is organizing a week-long series of cultural performances, online lectures, and tours of Northeast Tribal Lifestyle Gallery to highlight the diverse artistic traditions and communities of Northeastern states. So I would hand over this session to Dr. Sama Haq. She would introduce our speaker for this afternoon, and later we can begin with the talk.
Thank you, Veera, and thank you, ma'am. And a very warm welcome to both of you, and many wishes to our audience who are joining us today. I wish you a very happy and safe Diwali. I will briefly introduce Dr. Sangeeta Dutta. She has an MSc degree in social anthropology from Delhi University and MA and PhD degrees in museology from National Museum Institute. She has been working on aesthetics and expressions of folk narratives, oral traditions of India, especially of the Northeast India. Her work focuses on the heritage and development of the artisan communities, showcasing of their skills at national and international levels in the form of exhibitions and workshops, symposiums, and publications. Recently, Dr. Dutta has served as Rutherford Fellow at British Library London as part of research collaboration. She has also taught museology as a visiting faculty at National Museum Institute in Delhi, Institute of Archaeology, Red Fort, and School of Planning and Architecture, Delhi. Currently, she's working as an archivist in American Institute of Indian Studies at Gurgaon. Ma'am, I would now request you and invite you to begin your lecture. And we all are looking forward to this really exciting context of Vrindavan, Vastra, and its relevance for Assamese heritage and culture. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Sama. Thank you, Avira. It's an honor and privilege to be part of this Destination Northeast. Thank you. Without wasting time, I'll just start today's discussion. So it is like Vrindavani Vastra refers to a woven textile piece from Assam, a northeastern states of India. Today's discussion will include the historical and cultural context of this Vastra. It sounds quite unusual when we are talking about Destination Northeast, but referring to a textile called Vrindavani Vastra. Because it is quite obvious when we say Vrindavani, it has to have a connection with the town Vrindavan in Uttar Pradesh. Yes, this textile has a connection to Vrindavan because this Vastra, this textile piece, has a depiction of the life of Krishna. So obviously Vrindavan and Krishna and this connection with these two aspects, which is going to appear throughout our discussion. With this connection, actually, we are referring this piece of Vastra as Vrindavani Vastra. But how this name has come to an Assam means textile, and this we will include during our discussion. So just quickly, we can we just want to have a like uh, glimpse of how this Vrindavani Vastra, how it has come. So throughout the discussion, now we will be referring Srimanta Hankordev. Hankordev is the Neo-Vaishnavite saint of Assam, like who is associated, and the whole tradition of this Vastra is going to be connected with Hankordev. I am referring the word Vastra for this textile. I find it more convenient. That's why I'm saying the one Vastra for this textile piece. Uh, how this Vrindavani Vastra has come, like how this Vrindavani thing has appeared in Assam. There is also another connection with Hongkorde. This connection is through the Bhakti cult. We know that the Bhakti cult, which is like throughout India, it was initiated and always with one saint or one individual, the whole the tradition, whole belief system actually continued. So in the same tradition, when we talk about Bhakti movement, when we talk about Kavi or Chaitanya, in the same line we talk about Hankordev also with that Bhakti movement. When we connect, we find that like major part of the Bhakti movement, major focus was always in Krishna. So in that connection, also we see that the depiction of life of Krishna we see in Vrindavani Vastra, in the whole textile tradition when it was developed. Uh, as I said that Hankordev is connected to this Vastra, so we need to know very briefly that Hankordev was life who lived for 120 years. He was born in 1449 and he lived up to 1568. Hankordev actually belonged to, like, he was they trace their origin from the current Kannauj area, and from where one of their like lineage had gone towards the west of India, and one lineage had gone towards the east of India. And then Hankordev, the Bhuya family, they got settled, and he was a chief. In fact, he was more into administration. So he lost his parents, and he was like brought up by his grandmother, and he got married, and he lost his wife, and he had a daughter. So with all his administrative part, and with all his like family part, after his like loss of his wife, he visited the Char Dham, the various parts of like holy places of India, including Puri in Orissa, and he spent in all these like 12 years in this Braj area also, that Uttar Pradesh. So in fact, the language through which he started this Neo Vaishnavism, like his whole ideology, that language itself is called Brajavali, that Braj ki Boli. So so that also makes a connection how he visited, how he whatever he learned, and from this Braj area he went back to Assam and he introduced which we call the Neo Vaishnavism sect. So that is why there are lots of influence of Braj area in that Neo Vaishnavite movement, that Neo Vaishnavism ideology in Assam. And in that connection, actually, this whole depiction of life of Krishna makes very much justified for this kind of textile. Of course, we will come to that point like how Vrindavani Vastra, because this is a weaved piece from Assam, and how actually that whole weaving tradition was also initiated by Hankordev, and how it is now continuing till today. So that's why there are much reasons to believe and accept the fact that Vrindavan Vastra refers to a Vastra from Assam, which has the depiction of life of Krishna, and which has lots of influence from the Vrindavan region from current Uttar Pradesh. Uh, I have to say that like this Vrindavani Vastra, this the whole topic itself, like research on Vrindavani Vastra, is not that very old. There are many scholars from India and abroad. They are working on various aspects related to the Vrindavani Vastra. In this context, I am also working on the Vrindavani Vastra, but I would say that this whole research process is still ongoing. It's an ongoing research process actually on Vrindavani Vastra. So there are lots of speculations, there are lots of observations, there are lots of analyses have come, but it is still ongoing. It is there are a lot many to be established, lot many to be actually analyzed. Uh, so let's quickly just go and see, like understand how Vrindavani Vastra look like. We are talking that yeah, it is a Krishna is depicted. Krishna is depicted. We are only saying about it. Just let's have a look. Before that, let me just say that the Vrindavani Vastra. I'll just share the screen. The Vrindavani Vastra, when we are talking about this Vastra, actually, it is a these are like fragment uh, of like they are pieces of a textile, and all over the world today we find around 20 pieces of such a Vastra. It is not one full fabric, but pieces of the fabric we find. It is found in all over world, various museums. In India, we find it in the Calico Textile Museum in Ahmedabad also. But it is believed that though it is associated, it started with Hongkodeva. How it started with Hongkodeva, I will tell that history. But it is believed that the oldest piece is probably oldest piece of the textile is probably in the that LA, that County Museum of Art, and also in Guimet in France. Uh, this is how actually Vrindavani Vastra looks like. This is what Vrindavani Vastra. I'll show one. Yeah. So as I said, that Vastra is like these are strips actually. Vrindavani Vastra has the fragments, and all these are pieces. These are like long, narrow strips. We find those strips are stitched together in some places. Those strips are used for making even a dress, like even coat also. In Chepstow Museum we find that Vrindavani Vastra coat also. But altogether we need to understand that these are some narrow strips of cloth which has depiction of various life story of Krishna. And mainly we find the Dasavatar also. We get the depiction of Matsya, the fish incarnation, and we find Kurma, uh, the tortoise, and also some part of Krishna's life, like Bakasur, Badh, or that kind of stories also depiction. There are certain still depiction. There are certain images, or you can say some motifs. The underlying story of those motifs, of course, like yet to be deciphered. But mostly these are the like incarnations of Vishnu, and of course when we talk about incarnation of Vishnu, Krishna is also another incarnation. So like related to Krishna, we find stories uh, in almost in all the pieces. Maybe figures are size may differ, but figures are always found in a row, the same figures, and it is repetitive in almost in all pieces. We find that repetition of the same. There are certain images, certain rows, and repeating the same story. So definitely the purpose of the that Buster was, of course, definitely to tell some stories related to life of Krishna, but there were the repetitions. So you can see this is the Matsya avatar, that fish incarnation, where here this portion is that fish. But I'll just play it then, probably. Yeah, this is that Matsya avatar. And this is that kurma part. I think it is visible if you see below that kurma part. And these are Garura. So here I'd also like to mention that along with the rows, which are repetitive in nature, but along with the rows, we also find that every depiction has the captions, we can say, because texts are also weaved along with the images. So here you can say, and those texts are like crude Assamese words, but which is readable. So here if you see that Garura, I have showed that close view of the Garura. It is written that it's a Garura, and that a whole Garura. Below I am showing the one Garura mask which we find today in the Satra, or in every in Namgar also, under Neo Vaishnavite tradition of Assam. But interesting part is that in the weaved in the Vastra itself, there were rows, there were stories depicted, and with the stories there were the captions, like text also, along with the uh, along with the images. That is very interesting, and which makes very convenient and very easy to understand. There are certain other images also. This is the like depiction of, probably this is Ram with the bow and arrow. This is another, and you can see these lines of text actually along with the images. And there are some image, some other depiction, as I said, like this kind of wine, these kind of motifs we find. Interesting part is this motif, especially, which we find in the Vastra, which is more than hundreds and hundreds years old. These motifs are still used in Assamese textiles, even in Gamsa, in that Assamese Mekhla Chador, what the traditional attire of Assam. Still, we find the depiction of these kind of motifs. One can see the close view of how uh, these were for decorative purpose, to give a break to the rows of stories, or for what purpose exactly it was used, it cannot be. And any underlying story behind these motifs is yet to be understood. But these kinds of depiction we also find. This is the pieces. This is from one of the museums where it has, like these kind of strips are stitched and made, and you can see these are the rows. Of course it's not that very even, and it is that even the rows are not that like some kind of order is maintained. So but stories were similar, the weaving pattern were similar, the depictions were similar, but rows in the rows are very uh, without any order, just there the depictions. So rows are there, but rows are not in any order. uh, this is these Along with this depiction, as I am saying that Krishna related to Krishna, this probably it's showing Krishna as a like with the card probably. But there are certain still narration, some stories along with this Krishna's life, which are very much which can be easily like easily identified that yes, this belong, this says that this story. But there are certain other that kind of narratives are also weaved, probably those are some other like folk stories, or any other story connected to Krishna or other associated people of Krishna. But there are still some stories, we find depiction of such stories in some of the Vastras, uh, which are yet to be understood, which are yet to be known, like exactly what it was, these stories were uh, meant for. I'll just quickly stop sharing. Just yeah. Uh, Going back to this piece again, I'm just repeating that how various rows, text, some other elements, some stories, all these are how are depicted in a row, and which makes the whole Vastra strip complete. So I just wanted to put this slide here. Uh, but in this connection, if we go back to this weaving tradition, as I was saying that like it started with Honkordeva, uh, we need to understand that Hankodev, when he went back from his Tirtha Yatra, when he went back to Assam, when he started the Neo Vaishnavism, the tradition, the movement in Assam, it was not only religious, but it had all kind of socio-cultural, like every aspect of an Assamese society uh, was influenced by his teachings, his ideologies actually. So in fact, when he went back, he made a painting called China Jatra, through which he wanted to tell the stories of the Braj or of this region, what he has understood. So in that direction, there is evidence that he actually motivated weavers, uh, and that was also with a request of the Mm, then Naranaran, like the king, like how one big piece of textile was weaved. So there are much like belief that this whole tradition of weaving started with Onkodeba, which we can say that it is not only a weaving technique, but this is the whole tradition itself developed. And when we consider it as an art form, we consider it as a crafts form, like how beautifully it developed from Honkordev and how he initiated the whole beautiful concept of weaving, which still continuing in Assam, which we still use. But with this kind of vastra, it is little bit still it like surprising. It is quite still to be believed, though the tradition started probably if he has started with the request of the king Narayana also, it must have continued because all the vastras till now available don't belong to the same period. It continued for hundreds of years, but if we see the continuity part today, we don't find the same weaving techniques, the same like weaving of a vastra in this pattern, like rows of figures. Like we don't find any that kind of tradition. Though, if we have to believe that these narrow strips were used in the sanctum sanctorium, what it is called, of the Namghar, the Vaishnavite temple of Assam, we still see the Thapana, the sanctum sanctorium. I have to say that Vaishnavism doesn't believe in idol worship. So one like throne kind of structure is put, and where Gunamala is also put, and which is covered with narrow strips of textile, which we more call it as a gamusa today in today's world, and which is actually put in the Thapana. It is called Thapana Kapur. But even those Thapana Kapurs are also not weaved with these kind of patterns nowadays. So it is still to be understood how it actually started, and such a beautiful like artwork which continued also, but at what time, because of what reason it stopped continuing, is not understood. Whereas the weaving tradition continued till today, and the some patterns of this is continuing today, but this part is yet to be understood, how why it is still like why it is not still practiced. Though if okay, another aspect associated with this vastra, I must say that Hankodeva, as I was saying, that he every aspect, like it was not only that art and craft, but also with the performing art, like not only with the visual art, with the performing art also, the whole Hotriya tradition which is continuing today. So the whole Hotriya tradition has the influence, and it has the like connection with this kind of depiction which we see in the Vastra. So if we so some beautiful work have been in fact done like connected to this Vastra. If we refer Dr. Bhavananda Borbayan, he himself is a Hotriya performer, and like how he has developed one full choreography based on these kind of movements and postures. We find a work of like even Dr. Anvesha Mahanta, even Dr. Pradip Jyoti Mahanta, how he has referred how weaving, the whole pattern has been conceptualized, has been considered as a craft tradition, and how it is continuing. And and these depictions are not only just some figures, but these depictions are also actually telling some stories and some dance drama. Like Hankardev also started Onkia Nat, that whole Onkia Nat tradition, where we get to see, let's say, Bakasur bird or that kind of depiction. So those depictions we find in the Vastra. So it's very interesting to understand that, like, how for hundreds of years the whole tradition, which is available in the visual art form, in the performing art tradition, and it was weaved by the weavers of Assam, and how this is still preserved in various places of the world, in various museums, and how it actually bears the rich tradition of Assam, and which is uh, which is which itself is a like unique element of the Assamese heritage. I must quickly say, before I conclude, I must say that there are lots of speculations, as I was saying, that with the research going on, there are lots of speculations that there might be some connection with the artist tradition also, because we have seen this piece, Vastra, different use of this piece. Say we found one in Buddhist monastery also, we have seen making a coat also. And all above everything, this weaving pattern, this lampa weaving pattern, surprisingly, this weaving pattern is not found in Assam, and this lampa and this whole Vastra has been like weaved in that pattern. So that part also needs to be like worked on, how this lampa pattern, if that tradition at all was prevalent in Assam, how and why it has stopped, and how beautifully and does it also indicates any connection with other weaving technologies, like weaving traditions, which are in the neighboring areas of Assam. This part still to be understood, this part still to be analyzed. But overall, though it is named as Vrindavani Vastra, first work, and we find a reference of Vrindavani Vastra in the Guru Charit also. This is a biography of Hankardev. In the Guru Charit also, we find a reference of the Vrindavani Vastra. And the term was like it came to limelight with the work of Rosemary Krill. She was then curator in the VNA. So how this Vrindavani Vastra, with the name associated with Vrindavan, but it is still occupying a pride position in the heritage of Assam, is really interesting to understand, and how it contributes, how significant element it is, significant element of Assamese heritage in particular, and also to the heritage of the country in general. Uh, this is what and also like how further research can be carried out on this. uh, I think I should stop here only, because this Vrindavani Vastra is such a topic, like so many aspects associated with this Vastra. We can go on in discussion, and it will be really, helpful and interesting to hear from other scholars, like getting inputs, and so that like further research can be carried out on this heritage element of Assam. I should stop here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was a very interesting talk, and you opened up so many facets of this particular textile. And I have some questions arising out of my curiosity about this tradition. But I would ask Abhira Bhattacharya if there are any comments or questions on the Facebook chat box, and then we can start.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for this really interesting and informative talk. Your talk has raised a lot of questions in the minds of our viewers. So we had some queries, like Abantika from State Museum Assam. She's asking, Is there any record how this particular Vastra reached museums outside India? So how they were acquired outside India?
There, there are records. In fact, there we have written evidence also, especially for the suppose the piece available in British Museum. It shows how from Assam it reached Kolkata that time, West Bengal, which had that very close commercial connection also, and from Kolkata it reached Bhutan, and from Bhutan that time I don't remember the name of the journalist at this moment. I might that Bhutan, and from in fact there are evidence also. I can't find the name now. There are records. There are, but that is a very vast. If we start talking about, it will lead to another level. But yes.
Veera, can we move on to the next question?
Sources and what are the details of the like where can we get more detail about the information and research on this kind of Vrindavani Vastra? What are the literary resources associated with these kind of textiles?
Okay, I missed your first part of the
Yeah, the
question,
internet is
but
a bit
literary
down.
sources,
Shall I repeat?
as
Please.
if we refer to Mahaishya, I think I understood the literary evidence you were asking, right? So if
Yes.
we refer Dr. Mahaishya from the Guru Charit, where the biography of Hankordev, there also we find the use of the term. We talked about the Vastra. It is mentioned there in Dr. Maheshwar's work. And Rosemary Creel had written, like, it is a good research work we find. Rosemary Creel's, even we all know that it was displayed in British Museum. So that time also another catalog published, Richard Blurton, then curator, he worked a lot on this. In India also, if we, as I said, that this Bastra has so many aspects associated, like many, and it's not that complete one compiled work, but all associated work. I was telling about Bhavananda Barban's work also. You can refer Dr. Anvesha Mohanta's work, Dr. Pradeep Jyoti Mohanta's work. He has published a work where it says like how it is conceived as a craft tradition. So and during that exhibition, which was held in British Museum, it was in I'll be able to tell you the year. That time I think it was around 20. Yeah, that time there were lots of, like, even popular writings also, and many scholars have worked on various aspects of Vrindavani Vastra.
We have one more question, or I can say some information shared by one of our viewers, Javed Akhtar. So he has commented like Srimant Shankara Deva had an Afghan origin disciple and follower named as Chand Khan, and how his association with Chand Khan led to the representation of Vrindavani Vastra in form of kurta tradition as well, and how it was stitched. So he has given some information on this aspect in our chat box.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you, Javed. It's really interesting. Yes, he had, because this Neo Vaishnavism, which started Hankordev, it was beyond any religion, beyond any caste or creed. So he had disciples from various religions. Like whoever had believed it is called Ek Horan Nam Dharma, means only one source, like believe it, like devotion. It is a worshipping one source only. So definitely, and like kurta, stitching the kurta also, that's why probably in this line only we find a stitched coat also in chepstow. It is called chepstow coat in UK. It is in Wales. So that also probably having some connection, like how this Vastra has been utilized. Yeah, definitely. But thank you. I would love to read that full comment, Mira, of it will be.
Yes, I will share this comment to you, the
Definitely.
full comment which he has given, and it's a very I think it showcases the syncretism and also the oneness of all religion.
Oh,
So this aspect and the narrative behind it is very much informative.
right.
So Sama, would you like to share some views on it? And also, yeah, Mridusmita has one more question. So she's asking, can you share your views on the repatriation process of the Vastra, which is currently housed in the museums abroad?
Uh, right. This is a this whole repatriation. This is a I won't say controversial, but yeah, this itself is a topic. Um, Me being a museum professional, uh, I am just sharing my view. Okay, I am just giving my comment. But of course, this repatriation is not something. It is a wider process. Like many agencies involved, but I do believe that if the pieces of Vrindavani Vastra is available, it is well preserved in abroad in museums, we should be happy with that. That like our that heritage of Assam is preserved there. Of course, the physical presence of those part of heritage is not available in Assam. That is one aspect. But but considering the climatic condition, above everything, climatic condition of Assam, we I really doubt like how long that kind of pieces will be uh, able to survive in the climatic condition. Of course, if we take utmost care, it may be possible. But I believe if we, instead of having the physical presence of that Vastra, if we work and if we understand, if we value the all the intangible aspect associated with this piece of Vastra, that it enough to feel proud of this Vastra, this part of heritage for the people of Assam, of people of India. If some agency, if somebody can work on it, if it comes back to Assam, this is well and good. But I personally believe that like we should focus more on the knowledge associated with that Vastra than having the physical piece amongst us.
I think
I'm
maybe
sorry,
there
I
is
don't
one
want to
more
get into
question.
this repetition. It's a vast topic. Like I don't want to, but yeah, this is what I believe. Like I feel I'm more focused on that intangible part associated with it. So I just spoke my view.
I have a very simple observation and not an observation but a query. What was your interaction? I mean, was it a deeply rooted cultural interaction with the Vrindavan Vastra, or as a museologist, as a person who's been dealing with culture and heritage for so long? How did you get introduced to this whole context, and how long have you dealt with this subject?
Vrindavani Vastra is somebody being an Assamese, that was always there, and also being into this profession was always like matter of pride, and always the inquisitive mind was asking several questions. But when I got the chance to see the piece in first in the British Museum, London, first I did lots of homework before seeing that piece. Like it was like so much of questions, like so much of query. I said, okay, pull down and you will get. So like we more performing heritage of audiovisual. So I think I also wanted to understand from that the the postures, the mudras, that choreographic part of that Vastra was also. And of course, I was fascinated to see, like, to experience how the museum was taking care and how it was made available, accessible for a like viewer. That itself was like, that was one aspect. And above everything, the emotional aspect associated with it, when I saw this, then I realized that, oh, there's so many things, there lots can be done with this piece of land which Hankadev has started, and we all belong, we are his disciples. Like how, like what not can be done. So like that professional touch was there along with that emotional part, and all these led me to write. So I have written, like I have started working from museological point of view also, but as a textile piece also. Also from that Vaishnavism, from Guru Charit, how Hankadev Singh, and also how it can be visualized as an actually art and craft product. Like as a, for me, weaving is always an art, like, where weavers express their creativity, their expression. So I have been working on all these. A few articles are also published already. Uh, so this is how I connect, like professionally also, and then emotionally also. Yeah.
All right. Uh, Abira, I have one more question to ask, but I also see that there is another question that Rige has asked. So I think I'll let Rige go first, and I'll probably speak to ma'am about the Tibetan aspect of the the worship of the cloth. So we'll have that discussion later on, ma'am.
Sure.
But maybe Abira, you can ask the last question for today's session.
Thank you so much, ma'am, and thanks, Sama, for all the queries. Like as as all the viewers have said, like at National Museum we don't have the Vrindavani Vastra, but definitely after having this talk, we would like to put some information in form of a digital format, so that people can, like, we can expand our knowledge about the Vaishnavite tradition, which was prevalent in the state of Assam during that period. So it would be helpful, like in not only in knowledge dissemination, but to also explore the various facets of religious traditions which were practiced in the Northeast India. And that was a main aim why we, why we took the initiative to have this talk by Sangeeta ma'am, because we wanted to showcase like Northeastern tradition are not only about the indigenous traditions which we have, like we have also about Buddhism, we are going to have one more talk, but Vaishnavite tradition also played an important role in formation of the cultural identity of the communities residing in that region. So thank you so much, ma'am. For this entire session, we would like to have you again in our gallery walks. If you come to Delhi, we would like to show you our gallery as well. So thanks to all the viewers who are watching this session today. We would be having one more session on the art of tattoo by Sarah Huck. She would be talking about the tattoo tradition and its reflections on the objects in the Northeast India, like the Konyak Nagas, and also like we have tobacco containers. So we would be having more talks on various facets of Northeast India. And also I would like to invite you all for our cultural programs, the cultural events, which we are having from 1st of November. So we would be having the similar kind of cultural on Saturday and Sunday. You can come to the National Museum, you can enjoy the dances of Manipur, Nagaland, and Assam, and know about the intangible cultural heritage of this region. Thank you all for joining us today on the occasion of Diwali. Happy Diwali to all of you, and stay tuned with us on our social media platform. Thanks.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Avira.
everyone. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Sama. Thank you, Avira. Thanks, National Museum. Thanks, the Anthropology Department and Education Department. Thank you, Rige. I couldn't see her, but thanks a lot. Thanks for
Thank you,
giving.
Rike. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Education
Sama,
Department.
we will definitely talk.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Looking forward to
Okay.
that. Okay. Happy Diwali, everyone. See you soon at the museum and online as well.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, I'll end the session now.
I'll leave.